Like you're just thinking like this is supplemental, and then you make $1,000 a month, and then you make 10, and then you make 20, and then it just keeps going 30, and you're just like, holy shit, man, this is for real. Like this is not like a side hustle anymore. Find those things that everyone's doing and do them better.
All right, I'm Josh Sucher. I'm here at Trainheroic headquarters with the Personal Trainer of the Year and Performance Explorer creator, founder, COO, director of performance, all things Performance Explorer, Vernon Griffith. So yeah, Vernon, thanks for taking the trip to Colorado and just even for making the time to come here. I know you're a busy dude, so we appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys having me. I appreciate, honestly, everything Trainheroic's done for me. Not to be cheesy, but man, it's been a lot.
Yeah, you've been just a blast to work with. I remember where I was when we first talked. I remember, I remember where in the office I was, picking up the phone, our conversation. You sort of, this is just life in general, but you sort of have these like moments where you know something is gonna go well. You're like, oh, that felt right.
Yeah.
And I remember that more so than with other people that we work with. So
the trajectory of that conversation has been like, would have never guessed that it's went as far as it has.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's been fun. Yeah. I said this to you yesterday, but I feel like you're just getting started. So it's just fun to be here to see the journey up close.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to get into today. I think one thing that you've done that's really special and really unique is that you've created this coaching business that you love. You've done it on your terms. You're doing it in a way that impacts thousands of people across the globe. And I think it's a story worth telling. I'd love to get into all the specifics around Performance Explorer, what it does for the world and the value it creates. And even before we get there, what would be fun to do is just understand a little bit more about Vernon Griffith. Selfishly, like that's fun for me, but also I think it's something that will resonate with other people, and that like you're not this totally unique unicorn that other people can't understand or resonate. Like I think your story is similar to many people's stories.
For sure.
So can you kind of take us back to, I don't know, as far back as you want to go and how you got into coaching?
So I guess my coaching starting point is a lot different than everyone else's. So I think most people have this lineage of like loving to work out and loving strength training. I was the kid that faked injuries to get out of the weight room. Like I would be in the trainer's office with my foot in a bucket of ice because I didn't like the weight room. I was intimidated from it. And I remember like saving up my money and going to like the local Revco, which was a pharmacy back then, and buying like creatine off the bottom shelf. Like, oh, this is going to help me.
Yeah,
I'm going to get bigger and stronger. And then obviously it didn't. I was just still the same scrawny kid. And then I joined the military, and on one of the deployments, I really got into working out, just understanding how much the body needs training and whatnot, and how much we can benefit from proper training. Then I started going to school while I was in the military. Got a job at like a local gym while I was in the military. Then I ended up saying like, this is what I want to do. I feel passionate in this field, feel like I can do a lot of good. Got out of the military, went school full time, got a job at a gym while I was being a personal trainer at a gym while I was in school. And then opened up my facility right after I graduated. And then, it's the journey's kind of taken me places, I never would have thought. The mentors I've been able to learn from, the people I've been able to work with. I think that's been the biggest contributor to my knowledge in strength conditioning is the collaborative efforts with some of my clients, just the openness and willingness to like share their stories on the floor and allow me to try these exploring concepts with them. That's been the biggest part for me. So, and I'm kind of a product of kind of the clients that I've had.
Yeah. Education wise, did you go to school for exercise physiology?
Yeah.
Okay.
So traditional education sense, CSCS, but I can honestly, I think that's a great starting point. The black and white knowledge and learning, proper education, formal education. But what I've learned since then has been what's the difference has been. Like those learning environments, the continuing education courses I've taken along the way, those have kind of shaped my thought process when it comes to training.
So when you got into coaching, you were doing, was it personal training or what did your business look like when you got out?
It was personal training in a gym. I think as coaches, we always want to say like personal training's like below you or whatnot, but I can honestly say that was probably the best training from an experience standpoint because working in athletics or athletes, like there are differences. Obviously, I'm not going to be that guy. But when you have like a stay-at-home mom, and then you have, you know, a high school kid, and then you have someone that doesn't even want to train, a grandma, and then you have a disabled veteran. Like my back-to-back days were unreal. Like the amount of clients and having to navigate those social situations and conversations and try to really make the training specific to that person and not just be like, all right, well, today's workout on the board is all this.
Sure.
I think that's helped mold me as a coach. Like, you know, how do I get this person to their needs instead of trying to fit this person into a program? How do I make this program mold to them to fit their needs and goals?
Totally.
But personal training, that was pivotal because, I mean, you just see such a variety of people. It's so different.
Yeah. So you're doing that, and I imagine you're renting out space in a gym, or you're meeting them at a gym, and then eventually you get into even like owning part of a gym too.
So that was like a big box gym. So there we call them One Life Fitnesses, but maybe like a Gold's Gym or Anytime Fitness type deal. And then owned the facility that I was at with some business partners I had, and we did that for maybe 5 years, and then during COVID sold that. My percentage of that, but it was time for a change, you know. You know, when you think it's almost like that concept that me and you were talking about it of, as a strength and conditioning coach, you have this thought that you want to be at the table, you want to sit at the table with these legends and these godfathers of strength and conditioning, and then kind of you get to that table and you realize, man, this isn't the table that I thought it was. You know, people aren't happy. They work all the time. They don't have relationships with their families. And that's kind of an unfair thing to say for the most part, because there are some coaches that are really good.
Sure.
But I was just realizing that, you know, there was a couple people that I looked up to, and I talked to them and I was like, man, this isn't what I want. So then that's when I kind of took a step back, and that's when we spoke about transitioning and trying to, you know, use social media and my name to leverage opportunities to be at home more, to be available more. And then obviously to scale my time. You know, to me, that's the most valuable thing that I have is my time, my freedom. How I can leverage that to not only provide for my family, but to be there for my family.
And so that was like in those days, okay, you're owning this facility, you're working your tail off. These are early mornings, long nights. So was there like an imbalance in your?
There is no balance.
There's no balance.
when you know that there is a rent that has to be made every month. And you know on the first, like, oh, we just paid it last month. Here it is again. Like you're chasing that number, and then you almost feel like a guilt when you're not there. Like, well, if I'm not there, I'm not making money. I'm not, you know, is this time away worth it? And then you start to like almost try to justify not being at home. Like, well, I'm just sitting here watching TV. I'm not even with my kids or upstairs playing. I could be at work training someone. So it's just like this dangerous cycle of like, you're not doing enough. But man, I went a year or two without taking any days, no vacations, no nothing. Like my wife was over it for sure. I mean, I remember many nights, especially during like travel seasons with softball, like I wouldn't see my daughter in the morning because I would be there 6:30, 7 a.m. And then the last team would end at 9 p.m. So by the time I get home at 9:30, she's already asleep. So 2 or 3 nights out of the week, I wouldn't even see my daughter. So it's, you know, there is no balance. And the concept of balance is interesting because I had a good friend of mine, George Carvajal, was a mentor. And when I was starting to experience that burnout, he was talking about the concept of balance. And even us having a conversation, people will say like, well, how's life going? And they'll be like, well, I'm just trying to balance work and life. And I mentioned that to him one time on one of our phone calls, and he was like, you can't balance work and life. And he was like, work is B and family is A. Like there is no balance for things that are not equal. And that really resonated with me because it was like, there are times in your life where you do have to push all in. So when I'm talking to coaches and they're like, man, I don't know how I can be balanced with my schedule. Sometimes you're on a runway, or sometimes you're on a straightaway and you got to sprint. But when you hit that curve, you need to slow down. And that's when I started to really like take a step back and be like, well, I don't know if I can balance my day-to-day seriously because I do have to be at work and I do have to make money. But when I am at home, I can be more present. When I'm on that curve, I can slow down and walk. Like I don't have to sprint through the turns.
Good for you. So you're feeling this pain, and then at some point you make the transition from, hey, I'm a gym owner to I want to start this online business. Tell me about how that seed was planted, or how did that idea become something that was growing even inside of you before it became a reality?
Honestly, as a what I would consider myself a professional strength coach, whatever that means,
Yeah.
I felt very cringy. Like I'm not an online trainer. I'm not this influencer type person, whatever. And I've had some good friends that have been in the space, and they were like, "Dude, you just need to do it. Just do it and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? No one's going to think less of you for doing it, but you may surprise yourself."
Yeah.
And then that's when we spoke, and then just kind of like it's almost like putting your ego aside and just going for it. But there's all those like things that you think people are going to think differently of you. You think people are going to be like, "Oh, he's a sellout. He's just selling online programs now or selling online training." But then you start to look around and you're like, man, there's a lot of people selling online training that don't really know what they're talking about. Whereas if the credible coaches, not just me, but like I always encourage other coaches to do it now, is, people want valuable information. Like they want to learn. They want to learn from like the head strength coach from so-and-so. Like that's a cool feeling.
Yeah.
But they just don't provide those options. And I feel like coaches now, it's becoming a lot more less taboo and a lot more accepted for sure.
Yeah. Talk about that like stress or that anxiety of making that step. Like what's that? What was that like for you?
Well, I'll never forget that first program. Like you put it out there and you're just like, is anyone going to buy this? Does anyone, are people not going to care? And there's been some programs I put out that aren't like huge hits.
Yeah.
But there's been some like that first mobility one that kind of like took off and it's still doing well. And it just kind of blows you away. The people that do it, and it's almost like the value that we want as a coach. You always perceive your value as like this organization asking you to speak for them, or this college or pro team asking you to come and consult for them. So it's almost like this value that you're always chasing. Like, it's almost like I'm looking for approval from my dad. Mm-hmm. Like I want my dad to be like, "Good job, buddy," like that sort of thing. And you're chasing approval from your dad for so long that you forget the fact that there's all these other people that validate you. Mm-hmm. Like they would love to learn from you, that they would love to experience your training and learn a little bit more about you as a person and how you approach mobility training in my specific situation. And it was kind of like eye-opening because you don't think that when you're in the midst of like running a business, when you're in the midst of training people. Like you don't think that there's this bigger outside picture on the outside that values you even more.
Yeah. And so much to offer the world if you're not chasing necessarily like a logo or the next job. There's so much to give. So then Performance Explored is born, and at that time it was Mission Explored, right?
Yeah.
So can you just talk about your vision for Performance Explored and like the value that it provides the world, what it offers?
I think this is a funny question for you to ask because we've had so many conversations about this, but it's like it's cool to hear you say you thought it was going to be good. I mean, I had no idea that it was going to like do what it did, and it was...
When I say I thought it was going to be good, this has been my experience always. It's always about the people. Yeah. Every business is about the people. And when I talked with you, I was like, oh, this dude's bright. He's gonna bust his tail. This is gonna go well. Max made the intro, and typically the way that it works is the people that make an intro, I look at them, they're like, this guy that was introduced to me is gonna be a lot like that guy. And you just kind of had that same vibe.
It was, I don't think I expected it to grow as much. Like it started out as Mission Explorer, just got the LLC and was like, okay, well, we'll see where this goes. I didn't even have a business bank account at the time. Yeah. The only reason I got one is because Trainheroic needed it for the direct deposit before you guys switched over to what you are now.
Yeah.
But didn't have any sort of email, didn't have anything, just had a cell phone and just started recording videos, man. And it's kind of just grown as well. And I think as a barrier of entry, a lot of coaches think like, well, I can't do that. I don't have like a camera. I don't have microphones. I don't have like, these resources. I'm like, dude, I had none of those.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to use MailChimp. I didn't touch MailChimp for the first year.
Yeah.
And then we spoke and then you helped me get my stuff online. But it's just that hesitation of like this different world. Like I'm not a salesman. I'm not like, I never looked at myself as a salesman or as a business guy or as this being a liable opportunity. And now it's like, because of those steps and because of Trainheroic, it's been like, it's just taken off.
Yeah. So if I go to performanceexplorer.com and I I sign up for a program, like what should I expect to see there, and what's the like what benefit should I expect if I partake or if I join?
Well, I mean, now I've gotten so many like specific mobility programs, like beginner, advanced, the new one I just launched, hip specific. Then I started branching into like the strength conditioning. So there's some like functional strength conditioning, but I have like the 6-week programs, but then I have like the subscription things, which I think the subscription ones are cool because it allows, to me, it's the community. Like you've seen it, like the message board in there is I mean, people are in there sharing stories of like being sober for a year and things they saw on the job and their battles with depression and mental health. And it's real.
Yeah.
Like it's real people with real lives that are actually opening up, and it's been cool. Like you never would expect that you would touch so many people across the world through a message board and empower them and have them feel comfortable enough to share things in there that they would never share like on social media or even with their families.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that people post in there, it's just, it kind of blows me away, but it's that community that you can create inside those teams. It's just awesome.
Yeah. So they come for performance, they come for mobility. Yeah. And the community is something that they maybe even didn't perceive to be a real value, and that's keeping them around.
Yeah.
Cool.
To me, that's my foot in the door, I think. But that's with anything. Like even the athletes that come work with me, they're not coming to see me for field work. They're coming to see me to get their hips right or whatever it is, or I'm having issues with my shoulder. But then it opens the door like, oh, well, I can also help you with this. I can connect you with this person. Let's get you within this community. Like, let's put you in this program. Like that's mobility is just kind of like the foot in the door, the niche that brings upon, that overarching goal of getting everyone together inside that community.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Like it's been a really fun thing for me to see. We mentioned that first conversation, but like I was thinking about just your journey with Trainheroic and on Trainheroic and moving from this like physical space to the online space. And it's like, I saw this go from brand new to booming, and I saw you create like a real business and I can feel it in talking with you and in working with you, and even like layering on, hey, let's get MailChimp integrated and stuff. It's like, you've built a business that you enjoy, that you love. And again, I just think that's unique and such a cool thing.
I had a mentor say to me, instead of trying to, and I'm going to butcher the way he said it, but instead of trying to create, or like when people ask, like, what's your 5-year plan or what are your goals or whatever, it's like, think about what your day-to-day would look like in an ideal day. Like, what would that day look like? And then now let's backtrack that. What steps do you need to take to move you towards that sort of life?
Yeah.
And Trainheroic has given me that ability to be like, this is what I want my life to look like on a day-to-day basis, being around with my family, taking my kids to school, going to get brunch, like being able to just go paddleboarding with my wife whenever, like stuff like that. To me, that matters. And by taking those steps back, or how can I get towards that? And I never thought that the online training space would be able to provide that, but it has, not by happen chance as well. Like
sure.
It's, creating the programs, having the funnel to get people in, offering things, the MailChimp, all this sort of integrations you've helped me with. But it's turned into a real business, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. It's like when preparation meets opportunity, but I don't think I was prepared at all. Like it was just this opportunity was there, and it was like assembling a plane while you're trying to take off down the runway. And somehow this plane is still taking off though, which is cool.
Yeah, well, you had the courage to do it. You took the leap of faith, if you will. And I know that you've iterated and you've launched and learned and you've adapted and you've evolved over time. And it's something that you're still doing. Like we haven't totally cracked the code and figured it out, but like it's going well, and there's room for it to grow
for sure at
the same time.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is sort of like demystify this business that you've created. And what I mean by that is like almost create like this, like going through your journey, kind of a step-by-step of like, okay, how did you configure this thing? Now you have a very specific niche that you've mastered. And if you're looking for movement, if you're looking for mobility, you're looking for Vernon Griffith, right? And that's not necessarily everybody's forte or their specialization. But that being said, when you thought, okay, hey, Performance Explored is this thing that I want to create, and you thought about the various like coaching services that you could offer. Mm-hmm. There's personal training, there's custom programs, there's memberships, which we talked about. There are like standalone programs that you're selling. How did you decide on like what's the right service for you to offer?
I think it was just starting with one. Like when we talked about that thing, so just getting one program out and seeing how it works. Honestly, seeing how it's received within, the community. Like sometimes what you value may not be what's valued by others. But the only way to know that is to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
So starting with that first one is like, oh, wow, this is going great. And then I think I had that first program and that's all I had for like 8 or 10 months. Like I don't think I had anything else.
And it was a standalone. It was just a 1 6-week mobility.
And you were like, you got to have something else. And it was actually Max was like, dude, you need to have something else. And I was like, well, do you think people care? Whatever. And then I just created it because of that. But like, it's interesting, man. You don't know what the value that you may have, but you don't know that until you put yourself out there and see what works. And you may fail for sure. I've had people to put together programs and they don't sell any of them, but I'm just like, but did you fail? Like you refined your coaching skills. You probably recorded some new videos. Maybe you're a little bit more comfortable talking behind the camera or towards the videos. Maybe you understand that programming a little bit better. So did you make a ton of money? No, but maybe you just refined your skills as a coach as well. So I don't know if you technically lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've mentioned you launched that first program, then after that another program and another before you launched eventually a community and a membership group. So now you've got all these things, all these products, if you will, all live. And are you still putting out more content or what's that?
Yeah, so I constantly try to put time aside to record new videos and like add value to the people that are in the program as much as possible, whether that's long form videos or hot topics of someone being like, hey, I'm having this issue when I do this. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to record a video, dive a little bit deeper into it, and I'm going to put that into the team. But it's just that constant evolution of creating new content. I mean, my first stuff was all on a cell phone, and we were joking about it yesterday on the drive in, like that program still sells. Like coaches think you have to have this high production. You really don't. But now it's like, okay, now I need to offer better. Because the people, the consumers deserve better. And if I'm capable of providing a better product, I should.
We talk about it here like layers of paint. You know, we say like, that first, you're just putting the first layer of paint. And it's beautiful and it works, but you're still going to go back and add layers of paint. I think that's just the stage that you're at now is adding those layers. So you had done this in like the real world, right? You've done it at the physical space, you've done it for your clients, and then you do it online. And when I say do it online, like let's just take this like idea of like creating a training program, juxtapose those two. Like how different is it? Is it the same? What's the nuances of the online versus the other world that you were in?
The online training, it just opens up so many avenues. And I think as a coach, it actually makes you a better coach because when I'm coaching in person, I can touch, I can feel. I'm like, hey, do you feel this? Do you feel that? Whereas online, I have to provide like in-depth context, like points of performance of what to expect with the movement. Like in the video, like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. So I think as a coach, it makes you a little bit sharper with your coaching cues and with your coaching progressions and thoughts because the end user probably has no idea how you coach. Maybe they've never had a coach before. So they're just coming in with full of expectations. And honestly, you'd be surprised how little people understand technology and how to navigate that stuff to begin with. But it's definitely a little bit more difficult, but I think it's actually helped me be a better in-person coach, surprisingly.
And you're still coaching. You're still coaching in person. So you're still kind of sharpening the saw, doing things in person, and then that transfers and becomes live in the.
I mean, it just goes back to that concept of, to me, my most valuable resource is time. And I think that's for a lot of people. Some people will say money and some people will say family, but time to me signifies money and family doing well. Because if I have time, I can spend time with my family. If I have time, I'm obviously monetarily doing good because I have time for freedom. And that online coaching gives you that scalability so that you can have a life outside of coaching. You can be more than a coach.
That's awesome. So you launched this first program, and I just want to go into the psychology of this. So you're doing it, you're seeing if this thing's going to work. Seems like there's a bit of I don't know, fear or just uncertainty.
Absolutely,
right?
I'm not an online, like social media is such an interesting place because people just assume they're like, oh, I'm just outgoing social media person. No,
Yeah.
like I am not that person. Like I am an introvert that can be extroverted. I don't want my face out on everything. Like that's not the goal.
Yeah.
So like by putting that program out, it's like, you know,
That's a piece of you.
You're literally sitting there. I remember sitting there on my phone about to post this thing on social media. Like, you know, that was back when Instagram had like the swipe up thing before it was like a button. And you're just like, oh, swipe up for this new program. And you're hitting like send, like, you know, just waiting for some coach to be like, oh, you sell out, you Dave Matthews Band, you know, whatever sort of concept like that. But it definitely, I still feel that anxiety though, if I'm being quite honest. Like I just launched a new mobility program and you're just like, man, is this 15 minutes over? Like, are people still want to learn? Like, because there's so many other options now. And then, you know, it did well. So it's just, it's constantly, but it's the same concept of like speaking. Like, I've been asked to speak in front of all these audiences and like at conferences, and people are always like, oh, do you still get nervous? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like, cause I got something to lose. Like, I respect my peers and I value their opinions. So I don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
So when I think about launching a program or something like that, I still have that same anxiety, like that sort of imposter syndrome of like, are people going to buy this? Are they not going to buy this? Like, do I think I'm cooler than I am? Like, who do I think I am launching this program type deal? But there are people that value you. So it's definitely a hurdle to jump, but I'd be lying to you if I said that if I'm past that hurdle, like I still feel those.
Yeah. Does any of it come to fruition? Like, does any of that fear end up as, I don't know, angry comments in DMs or text messages or things like that? That
from people? Or?
Yeah, like those fears that you had, are they real? Like
no.
Yeah.
They're all self-fabricated. You're just in your brain. So I read this tweet. I can't remember who posted it. I wish I could give him credit. But it said, maybe you don't have imposter syndrome. Maybe you're just not as cool as you thought you were.
Yeah.
And now every time I have that feeling, it kind of ego checks me because I'm like, I'm just a dude.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see what happens. Who cares? But that feeling of that anxiety, that stress, like, how's this going to be perceived? Like, no one wants to fail. Like, if you spend weeks planning this program and, you know, my kids are coming into my office, I'm like, stop, guys, I'm recording these videos, I'm doing all this stuff. When I launch that program, my kids are going to ask, like, hey, Dad, how'd it go? Like, my wife's going to be like, hey, or like, she'll joke, like, her joke is, are we rich now? I'm like, no, we're not rich. Yeah. But it's like those expectations, like, because my time went towards this. So I almost feel the anxiety from my friends and my family of like, well, did it work?
Yeah.
And even if it did work, like, is it going to keep working?
Yeah.
And like your friends, even my coaching friends will reach out and be like, hey, how'd that program do? How'd that thing do? So, and it's like that anxiety is still there constantly.
Yeah, that you want to report good news. So this idea of like, did it work, right? So like, all right, there's a coach, he decides, hey, I'm going to, you know, maybe reallocate some of my time away from maybe one-on-one training or take some time away from the hours I spend in this facility, and I'm going to start working online, right? So there's some steps to take, and we've talked about, you know, understanding, okay, what program or what type of offering do you want to offer? And then there's there's like this leap of faith of launch and learn, if you will. Did you have a barometer of like, did that work? Like, did you have a goal? And you don't even need to get into the specific numbers if you don't want, but like, was there some meter that you wanted to hit to know whether or not you should keep investing in this?
I remember from our conversation, it was like, you said, how big can this go?
Yeah.
And in that point in my life, I was like, man, I don't know. You know, in my head, I'm thinking, well, I make this much money a year at the gym I owned. You know, if I could make some of that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you're just thinking like, this is supplemental. And then you make $1,000 a month and you're like, oh, that's nice. That's kind of cool. That's some extra spending money.
Yeah.
And then you make 5,000, you're like,
this is getting interesting.
And then you make 10, and then you make 20, and then it just keeps going, 30, and you're just like, holy shit, man, this is for real. Like, this is not like a side hustle anymore. This is like a real way to provide for your family. But it all started from those first insecurities, those first leaps.
Yeah.
But it's that adage of coaches say, you know, it's like you don't know until you try.
Yeah.
And as coaches, we're willing to jump into an internship with no thoughts of making money or no guarantee of making money. But like, there's hesitancy with doing something like this. It doesn't make sense. Like
Yeah.
if you're willing to make that commitment for people that don't know you or don't care about you, you should be willing to make the same commitment. And then every time I talk to a coach and I talk about the freedoms that it's provided me, they're just like, well, I want that. I'm like, well, you just have to take that step. And I hate to keep bringing up things that mentors have told me, but I had another mentor when we first talked, and I talked about transitioning to the online space. And he said, one good piece of advice, he said, build a bridge before you need to cross it. And to me, when I think of side hustles, that's what I think about. So to me, online training, that was like a side hustle. Like, oh, this is great. I'm still training people in person, but I'm building this bridge before I need to cross it. And then before I knew it, that bridge is like built. And it's like, damn, I can cross this bridge right now. I don't have to, but I can. And to me, that's where this online training space is. Like, build this bridge before you need to cross it. Maybe one day you don't ever cross it. You just have this nice little land developed over there that you get to pull some money from here and there. Or maybe you decide, I don't want to work here anymore. I want to cross this bridge and go full time.
Yeah.
But it's that concept of knowing your worth, knowing your value, knowing your experience and what you know, and building that bridge before you need to cross it.
Yeah. Build the bridge before you cross it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. There's like this fit and fitness to doing this job, right? Doing the online training job. Like, are you the right fit? Do you have the right content, right? And things like that. And I think there are a lot of people that have that. And then there's the fitness. Like, can you actually do it? And the fitness to me comes down to more, can you get this in front of people, right? And a big piece of that for you and a lot of your success has been, you've been really forward thinking and deliberate about, let me build a channel, that channel being social media and Instagram specifically, where I can actually reach people. People can see what I'm doing, and I can get these offerings out to the world. Can you talk about your approach to building that channel, building social media, and I don't know, just some things that you've learned in that space?
To me, social media, it's not simple. Like, we don't know it. Constantly right now, I'm trying to figure out, like, why is non-followers not seeing my posts? And then, people are like, oh, it's because things are going viral, so they're knocking you down. And then there's like all this shadow bans. I mean, I don't know any of that, man. But social media was never meant to be what it was. Like, we talked about this. Social media was, instead of texting all the athletes I was working with, I was posting the movements online, be like, hey, these are the recovery movements for the week.
Yeah.
And then having like a caption that kind of talked about them a little bit more so they could access them and use them. It was never about look at me. It was about look at these thoughts.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of trainers and coaches, they have these cool, fancy videos, which is great, but it's just look at me. Like, no one cares about looking at you.
Yeah.
People follow you, in my opinion, for 4 reasons. They follow you to learn, to laugh, for lust, or to be motivated. And to me, the successful people can do 2 of those. So if you can learn and laugh, great, perfect. Those are very successful social media accounts.
Yeah.
If you look really great and you learn, they're probably going to do pretty good. Or the motivational ones that post like stuff that you can relate to and stuff like that. Those social media accounts do very well. But that was my thought ever since the beginning, was not to become social media, whatever. And it's just grown and grown. And ever since this path, it's always been about value. Like, I think a lot of people, when they post on social media, they're like, well, I want to post something that's going to go viral. I want to post something that people are going to engage with, or that there's a chance for me to become famous. Like, they're looking for that one post where it's like, no, man, just keep hitting singles. Just keep hitting singles and bat people around the bases. So if you value, I truly feel, not to say, that whole concept of nice guys do win, but if you provide value and people learn and they value what you have to say, like, people see that.
Yeah.
They see genuine. They'll get fooled by the flashy stuff, but people will respect and value true, good information. And I guess that's where I stood out. And also right timing as well.
Sure.
Like, it was the right timing, maybe the right sort of angles with video. I mean, I don't know. It's just right timing. But it's always been the same stuff. I haven't changed.
Yeah. It's
just providing value, sharing good information, and that concept of, like, don't look at me, look at this thought, look at this idea. Even when I post a video of a mobility exercise, it's not, hey, look at how great my mobility is. It's, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm looking for. Even trying to not post myself so much. So, like, this isn't about me at all. It's the concept of training, the concept of mobility training. Like, I don't need my face on it. It's more of just trying to push this thought, this profession, this niche within the profession a little bit forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Like just hit 2 of those things. So teach them something so you want them to learn, make them laugh.
Yeah.
Or lust or motivate.
Yeah.
And so the secret is to hit 2 of those.
That's what I
each
think.
Post. Yeah.
Because I mean, that's what engagement is. You want people to value your post. Like there's a lot of coaches that post on social media like, well, no one values a post about a goblet squat. I disagree.
Yeah.
Because there are people all the time that post videos of people doing a goblet squat and they have like a text that pops up like with a coaching cue and then the angle change. Well, make sure you sit down into your hips and make sure, you don't rotate your feet more. So you can do simple things, but just make them very valuable.
Yeah.
So that there are ways around it to provide that education, but it makes a coach step outside their comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny because as coaches, we say how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
But then we look at social media and stuff and like, well, I don't really want to try, but well, then don't expect to have results.
Sure.
No different than your training program. If you don't want to try or you don't care, then don't expect anything more than that.
Yeah.
It's quite simple.
Yeah. So that's the engine that propels a lot of your business. At some point, in fact, in the early days at least, it was the channel.
It was the only
for you.
the only channel.
The only.
And then we started to get I mean, it's kind of funny we're here talking, but it's because of you getting more into that email integration and building all that. And now it's just these just getting people into your loop and then following up at the right time and then getting them exposed to more of what you have. Yeah. And then just spreading that platform out.
Yep.
Like not being so dependent upon one platform, whether that's Instagram, getting more into YouTube and, Twitter and just kind of spreading it out because you shouldn't be reliant on one platform as well, because at any point that platform would go away.
Yep. So today on social specifically, what are the mechanics to get people interested in Performance Explorer? Like take me through that buyer journey. I'm on my phone, I'm on Instagram, I'm at the airport and my hip's hurting. So I look up hip stuff. I come across your social media profile. I see a video. Is there a link in the caption or in your bio or how?
So I have like the link tree, which I think is pretty standard for most people. Yeah. There's some debate if doing link tree is the best. Like, should you have it that it goes straight to your website so you get more website hits?
Sure.
I've done that in the past too. But I like the link tree because I think people are familiar with it. People like things that they're familiar with. Where if I put a website right there, maybe they're not willing to click on that.
Sure.
But if they click on the link tree because they know what a link tree looks like, maybe it'll be a little bit better. But then as well, like in my posts, like I'm not selling every post because you're trying to provide value, but when people comment in something, having something for them to go to. So that was like the big push with you, which you said about having more programs, specifically strength programs, is because people are asking. And what's worse than having a consumer come to you and then you don't have nothing for them?
Right.
It's almost like at a restaurant and be like, man, I really want a hamburger. Well, we don't sell hamburgers. Yeah. Well, I guess I'm just going to leave. I mean, I guess so. Yeah. Like, so it's trying to have like some sort of diverse thing. And then even then, there's a lot of things that I don't have, but I have referrals to friends. Sure. Like, hey, I don't have a program for that, but check this guy out. Mm-hmm. And there's no like finder's fee or whatever, but that sort of relationship is then they send someone to you. We're all in this together. One of the biggest things I hear people say, specifically in mobility, is they'll say, well, I can't post with that guy because he's also a mobility coach. I'm like, bro, it's a 6-week program. There are 52 weeks in the year. It's very naive for me to think that someone's going to buy my program and no one else's. Sure. But if I encourage them, hey, try this program. And then if they hit me up and they go, hey, I saw this other dude has this program. What do you think? Give it a try. Give it a try. Yeah. And then maybe follow up with them. Hey, how'd it go? Oh, it's awesome. Sweet. Maybe in a couple months, hit them back. Hey, I got this new program coming out. They come back because it was never about like you're mine, like you're my customer. Yeah. It's just being honest and open. Like, hey, we're all in this together. Yeah. Like there's 52 weeks in the year. I have 6-week programs. Like there's a lot of other weeks for you to train with someone else.
Totally. And it's the same. It seems like it's the same kind of relationship driven deal that you were dealing with in the physical space that you're still doing in the online space, right? And this idea of, we talk about in software, we talk about member retention and lifetime value. And it's the same in the personal training industry or in the coaching industry or in the performance industry. they might not talk about it in those terms, but somebody comes to your social media, they click on your link tree, they buy, Mobility Explored, and they complete a 6-week program, right? They now have a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, the question then is, okay, how do you extend that relationship? How do you build more trust? How do you extend that lifetime value so they're coming back the next time they have either an issue or they're being proactive? And you had mentioned that you had integrated with other systems, right? So like initially it was just social media. Then we got into like email and building an email list. Can you talk about what that's been like for you?
I can honestly say that email listing, that was the Zapier integrations that we did we're still doing. You just helped me correct the one last week. That has been one of the biggest things for my business because it's almost, as a coach, how do you follow up with thousands of people? Like you can't.
Yeah.
Like even if you post in the message board of the app, like some people turn those notifications off because there's so many. Like how do you actually follow up with people genuinely? And you create these customer journeys through these emails. So now you're getting touch points with people that like you would never expect. Like people are coming back to buy programs and like, oh, I received that email from some email journey that me and you created last year that's 8 months long.
Yeah.
And they get an email 8 months after they sign up for that first program. And they're like, oh, wow, a discount code, come back to the program. But it's also not selling. It's providing value to them. So they're constantly seeing like an email with my face like, hey, check out this free video. I'm not selling. It's just value. And then maybe, oh, I have a new program. But they've already experienced so much value. They're like, I know what I'm going to get out of that program.
Yep.
Like
no different than the Instagram posts, right?
Yep.
They're getting what they came there for in the first place through a different channel.
Yep. So their expectations are being met. Like when that buyer, just to me, social media, there's a big difference between customers and consumers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that'll consume your content.
Sure.
And I think that's a big confusion because there's a lot of people that have these big social media followings, but they don't make money. People just consume what they share, but there's no like sell, or they're not good at sliding it in because they don't want to feel cringy, or they don't have some sort of email list, or they're afraid to put themselves out there. So they don't have those customers. But those customers, that's your community.
Yeah.
Because they've already believed in you. And then if you provide that value and they leave that feeling at the end of those 6 weeks or 8 weeks, they go, man, I feel better.
Yeah.
Like people will forget the coaching cues I tell them. People will forget the programming. People will never forget how you feel, how they feel. People will never forget them getting out of pain. People will never forget, man, I was able to get up off the ground without using my hands. People will never forget how they feel. So if you can find a way to make someone feel a certain way or different, that's key.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And just this concept of like turning a consumer into a customer.
For sure.
By, in your case, like Zapier is just this middle, this intermediary between Trainheroic and Trainheroic or even social media and an email system.
I didn't even know it existed until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
But that is like the biggest cheat code ever because someone buys a program and they get tagged over here. And then once they get tagged, they get an email from this tag journey. Then they go to here. And then did they open it? Yes. Okay. They go here. They didn't open it. Okay. They go here.
Yeah.
Like, so it sends them on like a personalized journey almost based upon what they want. Like, oh, are they interested in mobility? Perfect. Let's keep sending them mobility videos and YouTube videos on how to improve ankle mobility, hip mobility. Oh, are they not mobility focused? They don't really care because it didn't click. Perfect. Let's send them down a strength and conditioning route. How to improve your squat, how to improve your deadlift. But all that is through Zapier and those sort of integrations.
Yeah. It sounds complex.
Remember that whiteboard when and I had like all this list? It almost looks like the nerves of the body. It just kind of like opens up and goes all the way down. And when you zoom out, it is very complex. But like when you zoom in, it just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And it's like front loading work. Like, does it take time? Yeah, it was. I mean, we were emailing back and forth pretty consistently and on the phone. And for those listening, I actually gave Josh my login so he can fix a lot of it that I was messing up. But I mean, that's been a game changer.
Yeah. And you enjoy writing. You're putting out awesome content. So you've taken the same strategy. It's just a different place on where to put the strategy. But the beauty of what you've done is you're saying the right thing to the right person at the right time.
That's the key.
Yeah. And it was upfront work, but now you've got this system that you're always tweaking, but you have a system that then is helping propel it's the engine, if you will. Like social media is an engine. Now you have this other engine going to that's driving sales.
I mean, it's no different than a coach planning, the season ends, the teams go home. So they got, X amount of time to do off-season program prep, and they're sitting there on a whiteboard drawing everything out. You're front loading the work that you have to do. Like once the season comes, you do have to actually do the work. And do you constantly have to check, like, did the emails go? Like, are people getting tagged? And there are some issues here and there I think I've experienced. But once you do the work, like, it's kind of on cruise control for the most part, unless you want to change something or add something to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So it sounds like things have gone really well for you, but like anything, when you're this far away from it, the world looks blue and green. There's no problems. Everything, I can go on social media and look at the stuff you're doing. It's polished. It's awesome. It's good content. I want to share it with my friends. Tell me about some mistakes that you made, some things that you've done that you're like, damn, if I could do it over, I would have avoided this or avoided that.
Having the email collection at the beginning. So collecting people's emails, that's something I didn't value. And the only reason I started valuing it is because of the conversation we had. But I sold, thousands of programs, and I wasn't doing anything with any of those emails.
Yeah.
So I missed out on people that bought a program maybe in March that in April they may have bought another one, or in May would have bought another one. Yeah. And I went a year and a half without selling that person again.
Yeah.
So having something to follow up to sell again, that was definitely a mistake I made and missed out on a bunch of money from that. But it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
I mean, me putting myself into that position at the beginning, it's almost like as a coach, you want to wait for the perfect time. Well, I got to get all my apples in order. I have to rent this camera. I have to have this professional company. No, you did it with a cell phone. I just did it with a cell phone and just, a microphone, like recording over the video. But it would be having a follow-up plan. So that email integration, knowing what I know now, having that to start out, being a little bit more customer focused, not being worried what other people think.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's pretty normal to like, man, I'm so worried about what other coaches are going to think or what my peers will think. And then I've had enough honest conversations with peers that I care about now. And they're like, dude, we don't think about that at all. Like, no one cares.
Yeah.
And there's that quote that says, those who care don't matter, and those who matter don't care. And then that's that sort of concept of getting past myself. Like, my wife has always been pushing me, like, when are you going to go all in? Like, for the first 2 years, I was kind of like, had my toe in, like, ooh, well, maybe I'll do another one. Maybe I'll do another one.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, just go in. Like, it's successful. It's going to work. What's the worst that could happen? Like, you don't sell more? Who cares? Like, there's no cost. The only cost is time.
Yeah.
So a little bit of effort, but being if I could change anything, it would be having some sort of setup at the beginning so I can follow up with people better, and being a little bit more confident in myself.
Yeah.
Like, trusting myself, not caring so much what other people think. I think it's easy for people to say, well, I don't care what other people think. I don't have an ego. We all have an ego.
Yeah.
And I do care what other people think, unfortunately. So if I could be a little bit better about those two things, a couple things, I think it would have been, it would have helped me some.
Yeah. What's one thing that you hit the nail on the head and you're like, yeah, that was something I did really well that I would tell other people to do as well?
Everyone is doing the same things for the most part. Everyone's recording videos. Everyone has an online program. Everyone now has an email newsletter. Everyone has those sort of things. So you're not doing anything different. Nothing I'm doing is any different than anyone else. So if I was to do something, if I was to give someone advice on what to do, it would be find those things that everyone's doing and do them better, do them different. So like the people that you want to be like, the people that are successful in the space, follow them, subscribe to their newsletter, buy their programs. What's working? What's their engagement within their community? Like, find those things out and then not replicate them, but make them better. Like, you're not copying someone by taking something that works and then making it better. That's any brand in the world.
Sure.
Powerade, Gatorade, all those companies, they see what someone else is doing, be like, okay, well, they're doing that. Let's reverse engineer it. How can I make this better? Okay, now I'm going to make it look better. I'm going to provide more value. And I should have the same amount of success, theoretically.
Yeah.
But that would be what it is. So something as simple as like my emails. I used to use MailChimp as a way to type in emails. And then I started getting other people's emails, and it's just block text. It's just text, and the formatting comes through weird sometimes. So now I don't do any emails through MailChimp. I create all my emails through squares on Canva. So when anyone opens them on their phone, it's the exact same image, the exact same square, the exact same text. And people still get my emails. I'm like, man, this is great quality. And just those nice touches. It's like everyone's getting an email, but how do you get people to open your emails?
Yeah.
How do you get people to scroll your emails? To me, that's the magic. It's just going above and beyond on delivering just the smallest thing, something as simple as an email.
Yeah. That's cool. So you're just building it on Canva. It's effectively an image, and you just throw the image in.
Yeah, I don't type anything into MailChimp. It's literally just creating like squares or rectangles. And then when you build your email on MailChimp, you just slide the picture over, and then it has all the text and whatnot. And then you put the button to click if you want to, and then it just goes to the next.
Yeah. Always learning.
But to me, it's those touches. Like people, the expectations are so low, unfortunately, with like online training, because people are used to getting like an Excel spreadsheet, or they're used to getting a program with no videos, and they're like, well, what is that exercise? How do I do it?
Yeah.
So the second you provide videos, they're like, wow, this is so amazing. And now you have this points of performance, and you're giving them all these cues, and like, wow, I was not expecting this.
Yeah.
And then you have this email that looks like, wow, I was not expecting this.
Yeah.
It's almost like a movie. When you go in with low expectations, you get blown away. You tell everyone about it.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at my online training, is like, if there are some expectations now, I think, but if you can blow people away, they're going to tell everyone.
Yeah. So maybe their expectation going into this is I get a PDF, I print it off, I go to the gym, but instead they have Vernon on video explaining a movement that they've never heard of with coaching cues. They're tracking their performance. It isn't what they signed up for. It's more than that.
And I love the Trainheroic app, because I'll record videos throughout the week as well to engage with them.
Sure.
So instead of it just being exercises, it's like, hey, welcome to week 2. This week we're going to start on this. We're going to focus on this. Or at the end of the week, wrapping it up with a video. So it gives them this feeling that they have a coach like right there with them.
Yeah.
And then the feedback I've got from that is infectious, because people are like, hey man, thank you so much for that video, blah, blah, blah. And you just don't realize how important those moments are for that consumer or customer.
Yeah. If you could go back 6 months before you started this, what would you say to Vernon?
Do it. Stop messing around and just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
So what's next? What's next for Performance Explorer? What should we be on the lookout for?
Continuing education. So working on launching like my educational courses now. Yeah. So working on my mobility course, also working on like building an online course for coaches that are looking to transition. Just kind of a lot of the stuff we talked about today, but providing those sort of educational opportunities for people to learn. Then got some workshops, a lot of in-person stuff, but honestly, just kind of seeing where the wind takes me, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm enjoying the moment. I'd be lying to you if 3 years ago I said I'd think I'd be right here.
Yeah.
So being adaptable to whatever the landscape provides, but I'm optimistic and have a couple things lined up.
And just performanceexplorer.com if somebody wants to dive.
Performanceexplorer.com.
Wants to dive deeper.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, dude, I appreciate you. You've been at this point just an awesome friend, but you've been a really great person to work with. I've learned way more from you than you've learned from us.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
I have. And even just watching your journey and what you've done and how you've done it on your terms I think it should be a model for how people think about their own careers and the freedom and flexibility that's afforded you. If nothing else, to show coaches that love coaching, that want to keep coaching, how to do it, in a way that's sustainable, that's long-term, that kind of works, with some reciprocity. So
yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
No, I appreciate Trainheroic, man. I specifically appreciate you for everything you've done.
Thanks, dude.